Hit it. You're my name on it.
We don't want the football coach to see that.
I don't even understand that. How do you pitch it?
Just roll it to the bow. If you don't have my word.
Well, that's it. You did.
We call the recess meeting to order. The records show that all aldermen are present. And at this time, Mr. Chick Cody will lead us in the invocation, and Alderman Blackman will lead us in the pledge. Please stand.
Lord, it is with thanksgiving that we come to you, thanking you for all you've done for us and what you do in the future. God, we ask that you bless each council, bless the mayor and each alderman, everybody here. Help us to make Ocean Springs better every day. God, also help us to remember Easter and what it means for us in the redemption story. In Christ Jesus' name we pray and ask it. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved, Mayor.
Second. Blackman, second by Mr. Cox, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Have a public hearing, approval of a residential short-term rental permit, 100 Winchester. Planning Commission recommends denial. Carolyn Wade.
Yeah, you have this has been through the Planning Commission several times, and it did have some legal action attached to it, so it did go one last time to the Planning Commission last month, and they did recommend denial. All the other information is there in your packet, and I don't know where you want to.
Need to make a motion to go into public hearing first.
I forgot that on your notes, sorry.
Okay, need a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Blackman, second by Mr. Impey. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay.
Yeah, and this is the same one I've discussed with the board last meeting. Subsequent to the Planning Commission denial, they denied based on two different bases. One being, advertisement for less than 30 days, and the second basis being on covenants. And obviously, we've got new information since that Planning Commission meeting on covenants, so it's no longer at the time, that was my recommendation to the Planning Commission, and that's the way they went the way they did on the covenant. So I'm reversing myself on that in terms of covenants. I no longer recommend denial on covenants, but obviously there are maybe still some questions for the board on advertising. So I know the applicant's here and will be given an opportunity to speak, but unless y'all have any other questions for me at this time.
Anybody have any questions? Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against?
For.
Yes, sir. Please state your name and
Yes.
for the record.
Sean Buckley, 6101 Old Oakview. I represent the applicant and I'm also her spouse. So I'm here by obligation on both accounts. I will say that in the course of this, we haven't always seen eye to eye with the city in the way that this has progressed, but I will say that Mr. Norman and I have always had cordial communications, I believe, and that we've had a productive discourse, even though we haven't always understood things in the same light. It's been very cordial. On the remaining issue having to do with whether the property was advertised in a way that would violate the ordinance, my understanding, so the way that this property was advertised in a way that came to the city's attention that was thought to be offensive was that the applicant had tweaked the search parameters on the program, on the platform, Airbnb or VRBO, so that if someone who was looking to rent a property for a period of time that may or may not have been 30 days or more, had put in a search, then the search may have, the property may have come up in the search results for a period of less than 30 days. Now, the thing that's key here is that the applicant never had these platforms set to automatically book. Like if you book a hotel, you can press reserve or book and you're booked. With her, she had kind of churned the parameters of the listing so that it would generate search results and that it would give potential tenants the opportunity to look at this property and request a booking, but at no time was a booking, at no time has a stay ever been conducted on this property that has been less than 30 days. We have since provided documentary evidence, which I would characterize as proof, to Mr. Norman's office, and I've also conveyed to Mr. Norman a willingness to completely open up the books, open up the platform, have the city inspected. Mr. Norman makes a valid point, which is, well, how does the city know when someone's violating the ordinance? If you can't, if you look at someone and it looks like they have an advertisement for less than 30 days, how's the city know? And that's a valid point, and we recognize the point, we honor the point. I would suggest respectfully that one way to address it going forward would be to tweak the ordinance so that it specifically addresses communications regarding the properties, not just whether the property is available. We're pleased to answer any questions. The application's been pending since June. Of course, the applicant is genuinely eager to participate in the program, and we're happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Does anyone have any questions for
Mayor, if I may add a couple things that he brought up. I don't obviously dispute anything Mr. Buckley said. I probably should have said this at the outset. This whole advertising, the ordinance uses the term, it's illegal to operate a short-term rental without a permit. It uses operate. Advertising is not in the ordinance, but operating is not defined in the ordinance either. And we reached out, once neighbors or whoever came to the city and said, hey, it's up for less than 30 days on this website. On multiple occasions, we came back to the Buckleys to say, hey, we think you're getting afoul of the ordinance here. Can you pull down the advertisement? To which they did, and then a couple of times it would show up, a couple of weeks later being advertised for less than 30 days again. So that's the whole kind of talking on the advertisement. Since the Planning Commission meeting last week, I did reach out to Mr. Buckley to try to put some closure to this, and I asked him to provide me his history of rentals from these websites, which he did, which is in the Alderman's packet tonight. So, take it at face value. It appears that they've never actually rented it for less than 30 days, but again, that's really the issue.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Buckley? Okay, thank you, sir. Does anyone else want to speak? Yes, sir.
My name is Jim Zipperer. I live at 108 Winchester Drive, which is the end of the dead-end street passing by this house. I wish I wasn't up here. I am against this being approved. I've sat through the Planning Commission meetings. On the August 8th meeting, it was brought up, the possibility that it had been rented short-term. And the following meeting, September 12th, if you looked at a letter from Libby Wrigley, she provided the same kind of box for her proof that it was just rented for 30 days or 42 days, as y'all got in your package. But on yours that you got, it's redacted, the name and the price. But Miss Wrigley's wasn't redacted. The first one, Marcel, says she stayed from November 23rd to December 23rd, and she paid $1,548. That's $51 a night. That sounds more like 3 to 4 nights at his asking price of $400 a night. I might add that was put in, I believe that is Miss Buckley's sister that had put that on the Airbnb. The next one, Heather, stayed 30 nights. It says on the document the Planning Commission got that she paid $1,233. So that, for 30 nights, that'd be $41 a night. But for 3 nights at $400, okay, the third one, Tanya stayed 41 nights. She paid $417, according to what was given to the Planning Commission, which might be 1 night. Those figures don't add up. Now, I would like to say, I can't say who's there for what time and all, but I can say who's not there. I've traveled, you've got to go by the house every day, and I've done it for 18 years. I can tell you all of my neighbors, what's going on at their house, and I have never seen a time when there were cars in the driveway and people active for a full 30 days. Now, there haven't been too many people for short terms, and I do realize that they could be these folks' relatives, whatever state and all. But this one person stayed 42 nights and she had 8 guests. I can tell you, they hide all of these people hide very well. And you might note that all of these that were supplied to you are exactly 30 days or exactly 42 days, other than one that I think is 41. But there was some issues when all of this started that I recognize now are not part of what your decision can be, so I'm not even going to cover those. But from my point of view, this place has not been occupied at the times that they say that it's been occupied. And their last one, and cut me off of them there, the last one they have from February 25th to April 7th, that's the people that are there now. There was an older couple that came in on the 25th. Nice couple, I think they were here for Mardi Gras. He carried a camera. And after they left, they stayed, I think, approximately 20 days. But after they left, these next 2 guys that seem to be construction workers, drive trucks, and all of these people have been very nice, and I've had no problem with them. But then again, maybe that was the grandparents of the 2 guys that are there now, and I don't know. But, thank you. Any questions for me?
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against it?
I want to speak on 104 Cary when you get to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Just tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Heidi Deinhardt. I live on King George Street. I guess the big thing for me on this is, as far as applying for a short-term rental permit and not having it approved yet, and then advertising it on a site like Airbnb or Vrbo, which are for short-term rentals. I mean, that's like vacation type of site, I would believe. So I don't understand how they can even advertise it on those sites for rental if they don't have the permit yet. And if they do get the permit, then what's to stop them from continuing this? If they don't, if you guys say no, you can't have the permit, and they continue to do it, it's just, and it's just, I don't get how they can advertise it as a short-term rental without having the permit approved already. And that's just my thoughts on it, and I don't know, those are my concerns about it. So that's about it.
All right, thank you. If anyone else would like to speak concerning this agenda item?
Hey, I'm Libby Rickley. My husband and I raise our 3 kids at 216 White Boulevard. I'm also a realtor, so I genuinely see both sides of these short-term rental applications as a mom raising my kids in our beautiful OS community, and also also as a realtor representing home buyers and sellers. I've never been to one of these meetings. I honestly would like to stay out of all this, but I did start religiously watching the Aldermen meetings and also the planning committee meetings when my client, Marisol Buckley, put in her short-term rental application for 100 Winchester Drive in August of 2022. Yes, that's 2022. One of the roadblocks in Marisol obtaining a short-term rental permit was the covenants. It sounds like maybe those have been resolved. But I wanted to point out that there is a short-term rental literally on Winchester Drive. It's 115 Winchester Drive. I've had friends stay there when their houses were being renovated. That's a very common thing to do. Apparently it isn't technically inside English Village neighborhood, so the covenants don't apply. But it is on the same exact street that the Buckleys were originally denied permit due to covenants. And I'm just curious if all those of you that are speaking out against this short-term rental permit, have you felt endangered due to that short-term rental permit? Have you, did you even know that it was a short-term rental? Has the traffic been unbearable? Have you heard large, huge parties, Another setback was several of Marisol's neighbors speaking negatively about her and her husband. This was early on. All the other public hearings I've watched have not taken owner's character into account. Mrs. Marisol has gone above and beyond to complete every application requirement. She needs to be treated the same way every other applicant has been treated. Not differently because they have beef with some of the neighbors. If you all are so worried about them being terrible people, wouldn't you rather they rent the house than live there? And I'm being facetious, but come on, this is what we're talking about. I've seen several applicants go through to the next round, even when neighbors spoke against the permits. Even my own neighbor on White Boulevard where I live, last Alderman board meeting, I think she spoke against the the applicant on White. And as she was speaking, she literally said, I know nothing I say tonight is gonna do anything, because she knows that there's procedures in place and there's a process, and that y'all were gonna keep moving it along regardless of her, negative perception of this short-term rental permit. And that was on my own street where I raised my kids. So I understand why people are upset about some of these, but for some reason that hasn't been the case with 100 Winchester Drive. Another issue was the perceived ambiguity of the previous tenant stays, which the gentleman just spoke about. Those have quickly been proven on the 30-plus day rentals. You don't need a permit for that. I've seen those listings on MLS that realtors use. I know this is a different platform that some of you may not be familiar with, but we do advertise monthly rentals on MLS, 3 months, 6 months. And you also want to know what rent they pay for that. And that's where it gets a little confusing. The city and all of you speaking against this permit, you're okay with 30-plus day rentals, but not with less than 30 days. It would also be helpful if people either in the planning commission meeting or planning commission or the city understood how these short-term platforms work, like Airbnb and VRBO. And they mentioned the advertising, and I'm sure some of you have booked on Airbnb and VRBO. When you go to book, it isn't until you go to book that you see those restrictions with the days. I have a property not in Ocean Springs, but it's a 3-night minimum, and until you go to book it, are you not restricted from those 3 nights? Or in Miss Marisol's case, would be 30 nights. This has been an active listing for sale as well. They've been so frustrated with the process that I have had it listed on and off throughout this 1.5 years that we've been doing this. So there have been cars in and out for that as well, because it has shown quite a bit. So, and one last point, and somebody in the planning commission made this a couple of months ago. As a mom of 3 young kids, I honestly would rather have a short-term rental next to me than a long-term rental where you can't kick those people out. I know Mr. Kevin Wade and I have had this conversation where there's so many less restrictions when it comes to long-term rentals. When you have a short-term rental, Airbnb or VRBO, there's so many restrictions, and the city has done a good job of putting those in place. But just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else who would like to speak for or against?
If there's nobody else, I'd like to give the applicant one. I mean, if they want to say anything else, just the nature of this being an appeal, if he has anything to say.
Sir, you can come up. Ma'am, I'll let you know. No,
No, ma'am.
I'll let you know when you can speak. Yeah, I know, I'll let you.
Thank you. Just to address the gentleman who had kind of done an accounting on the number of nights versus the, I guess, room rate, as you might call it. My sister-in-law is Maricel. Tanya is my sister, and Heather Davis is one of our closest family friends. They stayed with us for an extended period of time where they came and went. During that time, we're supportive of our effort to launch a rental and paid, and it was a 30-day rental or more. Our guidance previously from the Planning Commission has been that as long as the contract itself, the rental agreement is 30 days or more, that's what controls. So you could have a snowbird, for example, who comes down and they stay down here for 2 weeks and then they go up and then they come back. And that would not run afoul of the ordinance. What the ordinance, as far as I can tell, addresses is a turnover. And that the agreements that we had with our family members who were guests, in fairness to the gentleman, he's right, but these are family members who came and went and had a 30-day rental, nothing less. I'm happy to answer any other questions. Yes, sir.
If this permit does not go through, or you intend to continue renting 30 days or more, is that your intent, or?
Yes, well, I think the applicant is really trying to figure out whether to sell the property or not. This was her dream. She purchased the property with the intention, and I'll give you some background, is that we're not native to Ocean Springs. We came here some time ago and stayed at the Turtle House, where we became very good friends with Diane Wilhoit, who is now, I guess, kind of a close family friend. And then we decided we wanted to provide an experience for folks that was similar to the experience that we had. The crowd, the clientele is not the clientele who are going to go hang out on Government Street and drink. It's families or people attending festivals. This is a house that's been renovated down to the studs a couple years ago. It is in pristine condition, and we don't want that to change. I don't know if I dodged your question or answered it.
No, that's okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Make a motion. Excuse me.
Oh, we gotta come out, we gotta come
Make a
out of
motion
public
to come
hearing
out of
first.
public hearing.
Make a motion to come out of public hearing, Mayor.
Second.
By Mr. Blackman, seconded by Mr. Papania. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, is there a motion, one way or the other, on this denial?
Mayor, I make a motion, yes, I make the motion that we support the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Motion by Mr. Papania, second by Mr. Impey. We'll give a roll call on this.
Nay.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye. Excuse me, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm jumping out of line, Ken.
Nay. Aye.
Wait.
Aye.
So the motion carries, if I counted correctly,
3. Yeah,
3-4, right? 4-3?
4-3.
4-3 to deny the, you're denying the recommendation of denying, or are you accepting the recommendation?
Accept.
Upholding the.
Upholding the denial,
The
okay,
planning
so
commission.
the denial is upheld, and that will be, that'll be the record. Okay, next item on the agenda is agenda public comment. Any person who would like to address the board for up to 3 minutes each for a maximum of 30 minutes only regarding issues listed on this agenda. Please identify yourself and the agenda item before speaking. Ma'am, this is where you can come and speak. This is where you can come and speak. Yes.
My name is Val Cush. I live at 503 Heatherstone Circle, Ocean Springs. And I'm here because after 5 o'clock today, I learned that there was going to be a meeting here.
About the short-term rental, 104 Cary Cove across the street from me. Now, there's around 50 people in my neighborhood.
And I think it was about a year ago we were here, and all of this short-term rental was denied.
And the attorney, the city attorney at that time, because we have the covenant that we have, said that you couldn't do that there, not then, not ever. Okay, so, okay, we listened.
We went with this.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm hearing something, maybe third or fourth party. I understand this has been set before a hearing, which no one in my neighborhood knew anything about, and had a hearing on it. And I guess it's been put back on the market for short-term rental. And I didn't know about this meeting tonight until after 5 o'clock today. And I just jumped in the car and came down, just like I was.
I live in this town. I love this town. I love the people in this town. I think everybody that works on the streets and everywhere else in this town knows me. The problem in my neighborhood that we don't want this is this. We have little children. It's not a hotel. We don't want it. We don't want it. I don't have little children, but I love those little kids. And we don't know who's coming and going. I'm sorry. I would rather have people that rent for a year and go, because we do get to know them. Our little neighborhood is different. We love each other in there. And we don't want this in there. I don't dislike the people who bought it, but let me just explain. The 31st of this month, 30 years ago, I signed for my house right there. And the covenant was put into my hand and told me what I could do and couldn't do. And that happened to everybody else that bought a house in there. The same realtor that sold me that house sold the gentleman this house. Why she didn't give him the covenant, I don't know, it wasn't there. They seem like nice people. I actually let them into the house the first time. But I don't understand how you can have a meeting and you don't even let the people know anything about it that is involved in it.
Yeah, okay. Your time's up, but we didn't have a meeting, ma'am. We didn't have
a judge that.
Yeah, there was a judge. It was a court case.
I can elaborate, Mayor, if I may.
That's fine.
Just for the record, ma'am, you are correct. This city, the board did deny this permit, and that applicant, Mr. Rose, as he can, he appealed it to circuit court. And we went through the whole issue of covenants as the basis for denial, and the court disagreed and reversed that decision. So the board is required to issue him a permit pursuant to that appeal. This is not really the city's decision.
Do you understand that it went through a court hearing
They went to a court hearing, but why wasn't anyone in my neighborhood notified that it was even going to be a hearing?
I don't know that the court does any public notices like that. It's not, they don't operate like the city would operate and give us notice of public hearing.
Well, the only thing I have to say is this. The people in this town operate one way, and they like honesty and above board. And time will tell.
Does anyone else would like to speak to an agenda item? Okay. Moving on to new business. The board has been requested to appoint 2 members to the JCUA Advisory Finance Committee, which will meet a minimum of twice a year to examine the finances of JCUA. Will, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, this is something Josh Danis reached out to me last week. He's just trying to get it started. I'm not too sure who all's been appointed from other municipalities. I think Michael Moore, city attorney from Pascagoula, I believe Amy St. Pay. I know Josh Danos is on it for West Jackson County Utility District. Just a committee to meet and look over finances. JCUA will turn over from time to time to keep them on track. There's really no restrictions on who this board can appoint. It can be an alderman, mayor, anyone. But two people, whoever this board decides.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the appointments for Will?
No.
Okay. Anybody have any appointments to,
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we appoint Alderman Mike Hippie and our city accountant Kelly Riff.
Second.
we've got a motion by Mrs. Blackman, second by Ms. Burgess. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is approval of short-term rental permit 104 Cary Cove, Jared Rhodes, the result of the applicant appeal. Will, is there anything else you need to elaborate on that?
The only thing is we reached out to the applicant to get with Carolyn, and he did update his application, and he went through a further inspection just to update his application, so to speak, to which he passed.
Yeah, we treated it like a renewal to make sure everything that had been, looked at a year and a half ago was looked at again. So it was re-inspected, and we did a code check, code violation, and police check, and everything was fine.
And Will, just to be clear, this is a court order
Yes,
to approve this. We don't have an option.
yes, correct.
Why don't you explain also, Will, what the judge's reasoning was?
Basically, the ordinance reads that these communities must have an active HOA, which this one did not have. And also, the covenants are not very strict on short-term rentals. So, I mean, the neighbors are free to get together in the future and try to amend that, but pursuant to the ordinance, again, the covenants did not violate getting him a short-term rental, and again, there was no active HOA. So the city's basis for denial was reversed, and this is pursuant to a court order.
Okay. So, does anybody else have any questions for Will? Is there a motion to approve this residential short-term rental permit?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Burgess, second by Mr. Altamont. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Okay.
Vote against the judge.
We've got a 6-1 vote. Kevin was a nay. Anything that anyone wants to pull from the consent agenda? Need a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Mr. Empey, motion. Second. Second by Mr. Papania. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve, anyone have anything to pull from the docket of claims? Is there a motion to approve the docket of claims? So moved, Mayor. Motion by Mr. Cox.
Second.
Second by Mr. Papania. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Does anyone have any questions about the sewer adjustments? Is there a motion to authorize sewer adjustments?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Altamont.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wade. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Project management, Sarah's going to go over some active construction projects and give us an update.
Our first one's gonna be the CIPP lining term contract. You can see them around downtown lining. Our sewer lines are able to be lined. We'll be getting with them shortly to discuss point repairs and interline dig ups. So if you see a lane closure because of big trucks, that's what it's about. Downtown sewer, we're rehabbing the 3 lift stations, 2, 5, and 88. This is on here because the CIPP lining contract is used for this contract. So that's the current construction right now. Fort Monpont stage, we just had a final walkthrough. We'll issue the punch list this week. It looks great if you haven't been down there. And that should be completely finished, punch list and all, by the time our first Friday of the 40 event happens, the last Friday in April.
Great luck.
Front Beach Phase 2 on the sidewalk. They're moving along great, they're on schedule. You can see them right by Martin Avenue, replacing the panels, and they're gonna proceed to the west. The lift station 11 Gay Lemon is moving along, the storm drain's going in, the sidewalks are going down. You'll see very shortly the foundation for our pavilion going in, and then you'll see a lot more progress happen because it'll be above ground, it'll be visual. They're still on schedule as well. Lift station 11 rehab, we are at a halt right now because of AT&T. We're looking anywhere between probably 3 to 9 months before they get back out and finish, just because there's a conflict with utilities. Ocean Springs Road is moving along. King Henry will be closed starting tomorrow to Friday. They have to lay storm drain across King Henry Drive. They're still on schedule to complete in September. You'll see probably closer to May, roads starting to close for roundabout construction. Taconia roof is complete. We have a few punch items left to do, but that'll be very minor work. And then government street sidewalk, we're waiting on our pre-con meeting, and that construction will begin to complete it finally.
I'm just glad to see that on the list, made the final.
It barely made this list.
So is Mr. Blackman.
Y'all any questions?
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is general public comment. The public is invited to address the board for up to 3 minutes each for a maximum period of 30 minutes. Only 2 speakers will be allowed per side of each issue. Please identify yourself clearly at the podium before speaking, as anyone would like to address the board. Bill? Okay, moving on to Mayor and Alderman's. Oh,
One item I'd like to address the board about.
yes, sir.
And it was the last item, or one of the last items we were talking about. That concerns the
State your name, please,
sidewalks on
sir.
the beach. My name's Tom Aronson. I'm at 107 White Boulevard here in Ocean Springs. The concern is how the sidewalks on the front beach. How many times have the sidewalks been repaired since Katrina? Does anybody have an idea here on the board here? Our first district representative, do you know how often the sidewalks have been repaired on the front beach?
Well, they were only built after Katrina.
Right, that's what I'm saying, after Katrina. That's what I'm talking about, the time frame between Katrina to here.
They had one repair that I knew of prior to my term, and then other than that, it's just been the first two, the phase 1 and phase 2 we're working on now.
Okay. It turns out it's 5 times it's been repaired. There's a series of repairs that have been done by the county and by the city. The county's in charge of all the repairs from the seawall to the drainage, and then the city handles the sidewalks, and that's how it breaks down. So, a little discussion with them was, it doesn't seem like it was a very well thought out project. And the cost, what is our cost on the repairs? This money was a windfall that came in through FEMA. It seemed like a pretty, harmless concept, but it's been 5, what they call deep repairs. That means it has to be completely removed, all of the concrete dug deeper and more, attachment, fortification to the sidewalks. It's a pretty difficult job to build on that front beach. It's so exposed. That's what I got from the county supervisor. And then at the local level, I talked to the building department, and they said they do constant repairs on it. But they don't call them deep repairs. They're just surface repairs where, a crack is getting a little out of hand, needs to be leveled, needs to be ground down, or just a minor portion torn out and not dug any deeper. But there's a considerable issue there, and I think, I was just curious about what was the cost to the city to do that many repairs on it? Is it something that was built into the design that is a flaw, or is it just the nature of the beach and its exposure to the weather that comes through periodically? Not big storms, there haven't been any big ones since Katrina. maybe height constitutes a little bit. But is there any
So,
background on
I
this
don't-
from the city council?
I don't know what has been spent on repairs. From what Bobby may know better than me, the construction of it was substandard initially.
Initially, I heard that.
But now, some parts of the sidewalk, the knee wall was not very deep. And then some didn't have a knee wall, it was just a concrete laid on sand. So the construction process now is a knee wall that goes down, what, about 6 foot?
The footing goes down.
And then on the back side of it, which would be the seawall side, there's another footing that goes down, not as deep, but it goes down. So the anticipation is that it's fixed correctly as we're repairing it. We're fixing it correctly, so we should not have
No more.
the damages that we experience. Yes, sir.
That's, at this point in time, that's what we're assuming, but is my understanding that the county's pulled out of the marina project. They sent a letter to all the cities, municipalities here in the county that they wouldn't be helping with any of the waterfront projects.
Yeah, that was not a financial help that the county was doing. It was just a letter of support for the project, and they've decided not to support the project.
Right, that's what they were saying.
I think they support the land base, but I can't speak for the county. I think they support the land base portion of it, but just not the marina at this point.
Does this give us any insight into the possibility of problems with the potential marina that's coming
Enforce
here?
the time limit, or what are we doing?
No, it doesn't. Your time's up, sir.
Okay, minutes go fast.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to the board? Okay, moving on to Alderman's Forum. Alderman Burgess.
The green signs in Culleoka, Alan, are they almost in?
I haven't got the black blinks in yet to put on, we got the letters, but we don't have blinks.
Okay.
The letter by itself.
Gotcha, so.
It should be, they say any days what they told her last Friday, we should call and check on them, but.
Okay, yeah, no problem. And the dirt for Mount Vernon?
It's going out tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
I want to remind everybody, Spring Arts Festival is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And we lost, was that?
The Roper Romp.
Yeah. And then we lost one of our merchants that last night from Buddy Road. Keith Wooten passed away. So if they would keep him and his family in your prayers. That's it.
I'm good.
I'm good, Mayor.
Good. One clarification that just occurred to me, Mayor. Myself and Kelly were appointed to the JCUA Advisory Committee for what length of time?
10 years.
Hey, I'm good. I just need to know.
It's automatically like.
Okay.
Just go, I'm not sure that was ever contemplated a term of years, but if we wanted to put one on there, we could.
No, that's fine. I've been on
We'll give you some options.
I've been on the finance committee pretty much every year. And since they're gonna vote us all off anyway, so you gotta. But I want to commend Chief Lemire. We were on the same field last night for his tight fastball across the heart of the plate last night, throwing out the first pitches there. I didn't know.
You made it over the
Did
plate.
he actually make it over the plate?
Oh, it was, yeah, I'm glad it was a coach catching the ball, not one of the players. Man, he did well.
You've been practicing for a month for that pitch.
Okay, I need a motion to go into closed session to determine the necessity of going to executive session.
So moved, Mayor.
Motion
Second.
Mr. Cox, second by Ms. Burgess. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, board's now in closed session.
That's right out there. We'll leave that alone.
Fell off the table, Bob.
He was on Facebook yesterday.
He just went to bed and didn't wake up.
Yep.
That's amazing. That's, I mean, wow. Does he have any family?
His sister. They always at the yacht club.
why are we taking the brunt of it? That's been messed up.
Patty, I didn't get an envelope for this. I didn't get an envelope.
You don't have shotgun girls, or they're not going to take no saving envelopes. What's up, ma'am? Smile. You can't control what the judge does.
All my trees are gone. My lawn is gone. You pulled out my French grain, okay, you popped it out my side. My house was destroyed. French grain? Yeah, French grain, they came and they pulled the whole thing out. That's all no, it's in the middle of the backyard. I mean, the place is destroyed. What were they doing? Oh, something they shouldn't have been doing. Okay, let me go back to doing this executive session. I'll be out.
What's wrong?
Hey, Bojo, I'll be home in probably 20 minutes. What are you doing as a
Back up, I was like, where's your ball?
Motion made by Mike Impey, seconded by Bobby Cox to discuss respective litigation on Ward Avenue, Government Street, and Pine Drive, and land acquisition.